Chris Wedes, who played J.P. Patches for so many years, passed away July 22nd. And he is going to be remembered in a celebration this Saturday, 11 o'clock at McCaw Hall at Seattle Center. Pat Cashman is, you're the MC of this thing?
Yes, unless I pass away.
I think you look fine, actually. We were commenting.
I'm like 4 heartbeats away from hosting this.
That's right. That's right. And it'll be all the better for it. Yeah. Outside of the improvement, as Groucho would say, no one will notice the difference if Luke does it. Yeah, I'm just, I'm really not sleeping very well. This thing to me is so important. I want it to come off really well because he just was such a significant personage in this Northwest. And he was, I mean, every market has a kid show host or multiple kid show hosts. Not anymore, but they used to. But he seemed to transcend most because he was so immensely talented, so funny, and yet he had imparted great values to kids at the same time, and adults for that matter, because his humor was such that mom and dad could watch him too and get a big chuckle. To be a Patches pal, really, you could be any age at all and enjoy him.
So who's going to be there?
Larry Jenkins, Marv Swenson. You mean in the audience or on stage? Well, that's different.
Not that I don't recognize those stars.
Although I am relieved to hear Mary Jenkins is going to be there. She really makes a memorial.
There is a woman going to be there that says she was a Patches pal. Dory Monson will be there. I've never met her. John Keister will be there as another inveterate Patches pal, and Stan Borson is going to be there.
Oh, really?
He no longer can schlep the big, heavy accordion around anymore. Stan is 87 years old, wow. Believe it or not. But they were famous friends, and Stan's wife and Chris Wedes said they would go out to dinner all the time. So they weren't competitors, they were pals, and that was kind of cool. Of course, now everybody hates each other in the broadcast business. You don't talk to anybody else, do you, Dave?
No, are you kidding?
Yeah.
He doesn't even talk to us, actually.
No, barely.
And so he'll be there, and we have a piano set up for him. This is going to be at McCaw Hall. And one of the people working on this thing with me said, well, I guess we're going to have to pay to get the piano tuned. And I said, to get the piano tuned for Zero Dacus Mucho Crocus? No, you don't have to tune the piano. It'll sound great. So Stan will speak and perform. And then another thing that's going to happen is Christina Frost, who is Chris's granddaughter. She spoke at their statue dedication at Fremont several years ago. Was just wonderful. She'll leave many moist eyes in the audience, I'm sure. And then Chris Ballou from the President of the United States of America, and he has a little act now he calls Casper Baby Pants, which is for kids. And he feels like he owes a great debt to J.P. Patches because that's kind of what got him thinking about I should be a kids entertainer and not a rock and roll musician so much anymore. So he has written a special song about Patches. I know it'll be great. And I know it won't be mournful. It'll be celebratory.
Yeah, well, that sounds like that's the theme of this, right? Is to celebrate the memory of JP. And the fact you're holding in the morning tells me you want kids to be there too, huh?
Yeah, if they're well behaved. And
those Jenkins kids are awful.
Oh, man.
Leave the kids at home.
Yeah, we'll have security there, of course, for those Jenkins kids. We want anybody to come, and it is ostensibly free. If you want to donate anything at all, any donations will go to Children's Hospital, which was Chris Wedes' and JP favorite charity. Children's Hospital.
Did you, in your time at Almost Live and working at King 5, did you cross paths with Chris Wedes at all? I know he worked in local TV for years after, even when the J.P. Patches show was done.
Yeah,
he was a director, I believe, and did a lot of stuff.
He was a floor director. They don't. I don't even know if they have them anymore. But a floor director, tells the talent, the news people or whoever, which camera to look at, basically. So he did that, and he even did that when he was Patches. A lot of people don't know that. He was an employee at KIRO TV. He did this kid show, and then he would, then he'd be a floor director.
That's what I
for the
meant.
News.
And it took me a while to put two and two together because I got to KIRO during the last year they were doing the Patches show every day.
81.
Yeah, and then I got there in 79. So I guess it was going on for 2 years then.
Yeah.
And then I'd see this guy who was the floor director who also seemed to know a lot about J.P. Patches.
And he sounded a lot like J.P.
He
Patches,
did, too,
didn't he? Yeah.
The clown outfit didn't give it away, Dave? That would seem like that would stick in my mind.
He would take it off before directing Eyewitness News, yeah.
He, if you think about it, that's the beauty of that character. He could continue to be J.P. Patches well into his 80s because of the makeup.
Right.
He didn't seem to look any different than he had 20, 30 years earlier. But he finally, as you know, as you may know, he for 4 years had been fighting a blood cancer, and among other things, he had to have the chemo and radiation, and he also 3 times a week had to go in for dialysis. This was his 4-year routine. Never complained about it, and I don't think by not complaining about it, it doesn't mean like, gee, this is fun. Mm-hmm. But it just wasn't a big deal to him, and it was never the subject of any conversations that I ever had with him. I'd have to pull it out of him. But he finally, last year, he made an appearance at the Evergreen Fair in August, and then at Fisherman's Fest, or whatever they call it, in Ballard. That was his last public appearance. And he had people saying, "Oh, come on, just one more time, JP, please, just one more time. Do my birthday party. Come to." And the hardest thing for him was to say no to anybody. But he finally he was just worn out.
I am glad, though, that the people appreciated him while he was here and here to see it, that the statue got built. I know that almost didn't happen.
That was hard.
That was a pretty tough slog. Yeah. But it's a fantastic thing. And it's the best kind of public art because it's about someone local, someone we all knew. And it's just beautifully done the way they put it up there.
Yeah, it was. And it went through many designs before they finally came up with the one that you see down there in Fremont, and it includes Gertrude as well. And I should also mention that Bob Newman, who played Gertrude and all the other characters, I think there were 17 characters. I went and videotaped him a couple of weeks ago, and so he'll be talking about.
How's he doing?
He's doing okay. He has MS and did for a lot of the time during the show, so he's not fully ambulatory, which is one of the reasons I thought it might be easier for him if we videotaped him. But he's just a wonderful character, and he had great affection for Chris Wedes. I use the names interchangeably, Chris Wedes, J.P. Patches.
We're talking to Pat Cashman about this memorial and it's going to be, I think you've been stressing, it's going to be a fun time, right? It's not going to be the hushed music and the, people crying over the casket kind of a thing. It's going to be basically people getting together to remember how great this guy was, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds corny, but I mean, the guy was all about making people laugh.
Yeah.
And so to do something lugubrious wouldn't make any sense.
This is at Ben Arroyo Hall, I understand.
McCaw Hall.
McCaw, excuse me. McCaw Hall on Saturday, and people can just walk up. They don't need to get a ticket in advance.
If they walk up to near the front door, then I'll pick them up from there and carry them into the room.
Wow.
Yeah, this is the kind of service you do not get at most public events. And if it catches on, I'm going to be doing that regularly. For opera goers and things like that.
And actually for Mariner games, just to get people to go inside.
Yeah.
That could be really useful.
And then I have to bar the door, of course, to keep them in
That's
there.
more like a kidnapping, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I was doing a golf tournament the other day, and a guy got up and spoke. It was a charity golf tournament, and a guy got up and spoke and says, "I tell you the truth, I don't know anything about golf, so I don't even know why I'm here." And he spoke for a while. And so I came back to the podium, and I said, "Let me explain to you what golf is. Golf, the goal of golf is to hit the ball as few times as possible. So if the Mariners were a golf team, they'd be really, really good." And then he sort of understood what it was about.
Hey, do you want to stick around and talk more about your new venture, 206? As long as we've got you here.
Well, yeah. As much
Only
as
if you want to. If you've got someplace important to go.
No. This is the most important place I've ever been. And by the way, your studio is fabulous.
You want to stay for 2 more sections?
Yeah. Actually, would you mind co-hosting?
Yeah.
I have a golf tournament to be at.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah, this is really putting a
Don't
crimp
use
in
that
my schedule.
Mariners bit, by the way.
Back with Pat Cashman in a moment. Don't forget the celebration of J.P. Patches is Saturday morning, starts at 11 o'clock at McCaw Hall at Seattle Center. The doors will open at 10 a.m.